Most commonly, just annoyance.
Can you explain a little more?
Mainly anger, because whenever I write about it, it's just about how, for me, I feel like I never can be the man that I want to be since I am a transgender man. So it's a lot harder since on my dad said most of the people don't accept me there.
You're very brave to share who you are, know who you are, and to share your poetry. I appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome, Marlon. I'm Hope Fernandez, and welcome to Everyone Has a Voice.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I have some questions for you. What early experiences taught you the power of language through poetry?
I think my early experiences that taught me, about the power and the magic of poetry and words was my grandfather, Pastor Michael Brown, rest in peace. He would every Sunday, get up before a congregation, and he would preach, and it would be the movement of the words, and he'd be reading, from the Bible. And so poetry and the power and how it could move people came to me, I think, from the church. I think I started off watching my grandfather preach, and it really inspired me to become some sort of person who worked with words.
Okay.
I think they all wanted me to be a pastor, but, I minister in different ways, right?
There you go, right? How long did it take you to get started before you started to share your poetry?
That's a good question. I started off as a young man writing little poems, messing around with words, and I shared them with my sister, my younger sister, Marcia. She's about 2.5 years younger. We just started off there. I'd say, "Hey, Marcia," and wake her up and show her something, and she'd wipe her eyes. But she was my first audience, I guess. And then, you got a little braver. You start sharing with your friends. I would, in high school, I remember calling my friends on the phone and say, "Guess what? I wrote a new poem." And so those were my first audiences. And then, somebody sort of outed me one day in high school. They took a poetry book of mine, and it circulated around the school the whole day. And at the end of the day, everyone was saying, "Oh my goodness, you wrote that. And it was this inspiration to continue to do more. And eventually, poetry audiences all over. I got into it at college, but man, the first audiences are your family.
Yeah, definitely, right? How have you evolved as a writer from high school to present?
All right. I have an interesting story. I'll try to be brief with it, but I lost a lot of my poetry back in high school. So picture, it was the end of 9th grade, and I was getting ready to go to summer. My mother pulled a surprise vacation, and all my poetry, all at that point, this folder full.
Oh, yeah.
This folder full of napkins and papers and things was in the locker. And by the time I got back to school to go get it, the janitor said, "Man, we incinerate everything we find in the lockers." And as a young man, my entire catalog at that point, I thought I'd never write again. So that was a significant point. But really, I've written so much more since then, and I really just started to get deeper into writing more. I started off writing about people around me, myself, and it got more into becoming a cathartic, personal thing. I think all through college, I was documenting the experience. I was writing about what I was seeing, because I knew a lot of my friends, didn't necessarily go to college at the time, So I found I was very fortunate to be there, and I was a kind of journalist. And I was involved with a lot of poetry on the campus, and I ended up becoming a host of the Writers Forum. So I think I've grown into not just being a person who writes it and shares it, maybe publishing or performance, but I've produced poetry shows. I've brought young people in and taught them to write and helped them and scooted them off into the world. And so I'm involved with a lot of varieties now of writing and performance, Rhode Island Black Storyteller, Shakespeare to Hip Hop, Brothers Keeper. I'm involved with a lot of great things with writing now. I've gone beyond just a poet, I guess.
I love that. So as our final question, what is the one question you wish an interviewer would ask you?
I think I wish an interviewer would ask me what it feels like to be a poet. It feels like at once a responsibility, right? When you get really good at poetry and you recognize people hold you responsible for delivering the words, you become a wordsmith, an orator, or all these different things. In different places, you're regarded as a griot, depending on the crowd you're in front of, right? So the keeper of language, the keeper of stories, I got into storytelling that really melded it together for me. And so It feels like an honor. Where I am now, to feel like I'm part of a realm like storytellers, where I just was at another performance just now, it's a responsibility, and it feels wonderful to get paid to speak for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I look forward to hearing your poetry. Okay, welcome to our fourth Everyone Has a Voice series at our local library. A special thanks to Director Paul Engel for supporting the art of poetry and giving us this space. I'm Hope Fernandez, educator, educational administrator, and more importantly, a poet. Today I'm also your queen of ceremonies. Our order of events will be open mic, followed by 2 features. And without delay, I would like to introduce you to Amy Woodward.
Okay. At a certain point, I became a gardener. And one of the things that I learned from gardening was the opportunism of weeds, how they take everything that we do to try and discourage them and encourage the plants that we want, and they turn it to their own advantage. So I wrote a poem about that. It's called Song of the Weed, and I just want to make it clear that this is the kind of weed that you pull out of your garden, not the kind that many of us enjoy, either medicinally or recreationally. Okay, Song of the Weed. You who would uproot me are my mother. You broke this ground and woke my dormant seed. Your kind of love's as good as any other. We might as well be blunt with one another. You are the source of everything I need. You who would uproot me are my mother. You water here, that's why I do not wither. And though I'm not whom you intend to feed, your kind of love's as good as any other. You break my roots and make my clones spread farther. We follow you wherever home may lead. You who would uproot me are my mother. Your herbicidal holocausts I weather. I've heard they even fortify the breed. Your kind of love's as good as any other. And though I know I'm not what you would rather have engendered, here I am, your creature, weed. You who would uproot me are my mother. My kind of life's as good as any other. And there's a chorus. Bindweed, burdock, beggar's tick, crabgrass, witchgrass, cinquefoil, spurge, purslane, speedwell, dandelion, poison ivy, cocklebur, chickweed, hawkweed, cat's ear, sorrel, pigweed, ragweed, lamb's quarters, dock, smartweed, pepperweed, tansy, vetch, deadly nightshade, buttercup.
Thank you, Amy. And next up is Philippa Source.
So this is a poem I wrote after putting together something. And it's called Christmas Morning, Easy to Assemble. December moon sifts through the cold, children wrapped in dreams, coffee nestles in the kitchen, carols roam the corners, clock talks, hurry, hurry. Silent figure kneels before the fireplace, adorned with overflowing wishes, mouthing prayers of the ages. Easy to assemble. Place A into D only if K is at right angle. Slide F through J facing G. Force bolt through bracket, then screw U into E equals MC squared, folding Y. Slide ruler, table knife, Phillips screwdriver, hydraulic drill, take hammer, smash thumb, bottle of scotch, and you're speaking in tongues. Eyes burst open as covers are thrown across the room without touching the floor. Feet streak with wild abandon. Voices blare, he was here, he was here. Scenes from a postcard turns into a tornado whirling, leaving nothing untouched. News at 11. You sit in your chair, eyes half open, holding 5 whoozy whatsits, 4 thingamajigs, 3 doohickeys, 2 whatchamacallits, and a smile to last the whole day. So speaking of children, I have 2 daughters, and when we were a young family, we used to go up to New Hampshire for vacations. And does anybody remember the old man in the mountain? And I was corrected and was told it was old man of the mountain, not in. But I kept the title old man in the mountain. And this actually happened with my daughter Caitlin. Caitlin, our daughter, looks around, anticipates, eyes wide. Tell her, we're going to see the old man in the mountain. Rock-faced wall with his jutted jaw, cheeks smooth as glass years slide off, eyes hold wise, his immortality. Family walks path, we are young, strong, our immortality. Caitlin stops short, our chain reaction tumble points. Is that him? Is that him? Is that the old man in the mountain? Sandals under black socks rise over veined blue water rush, jaw sinks, skin sags, sparse gravel hair, his gait rusted. Her words echo over cavernous walls, a pebble thrown into stream of our consciousness, rippling, is that him? Is that him? Our nervous smiles, our lips pout to her innocence. Old man is stone-faced. We recall old man at family gathering, remember when we were immortal. My hand writes this message in my bottled up memories, older in my travels, shakier in my sorrow. The old man slid off his mountain, surrendering rock face in the morning of his mortality. I look in my daughter's eyes and see wisdom.
And next up, we have Joseph Polker.
Good afternoon. My name is Mauri Maniver. I'm going to read the latest book of Joseph Polker. I'm going to read that's 2 poems. Fresh from the press.
Yes.
Great.
Congratulations.
Okay, I'm going to read Don't Break My Heart Like This. Okay. Don't break my heart like this. Do not leave me alone again. My heart breaks for you. When you walk in the torrential rain, each stabbing drop, welcoming, why do you leave me without speaking? I gave you my heart, the most vital thing for me. We say in heaven we want to be, but envy and jealousy set us apart. Why do you break this heart I give to you? I beg you, keep fighting for our friendship. Why do we pray together? Do you sense why I suffer? I beseech you, stop worshiping vanity. We share divine love. What more would you want? Take this heart and soul. What more can I offer? Don't you know you are better than worldly things? Why do you break my heart? Doubt my love. When we are together, it is always with laughter, wanting peace of serenity. That is why I cherish your inner beauty. My love is not for your eyes to betray me. It is not for all the wealth you own. For your soul, the world cannot recognize. when we are together, I cannot feel empty and alone, although you try my patience. Your judgment is near. I am not angry at you. To me, you are the sun and moon. We savored our love with the same spoon. You and I were one. We were the stars. This is how much I love you. Now you despise me. We used to be close. Always had our secrets to share. And you used them to destroy our friendship. I am hurt because I thought you were my shadow. When you see me now, I am an unknown. Thank you. I'm going to read the first poem of the book. Jezebel in a dress. Jezebel in a dress. Jezebel came with eyes of flame, hands hovering above my head, muttering curses, a whispered dread, a prayer not for good, but harm instead. She set a trap, a snare so tight to pull me down into the night. With a twist of fate, a flick of her dress, she tried to bind me in her dark caress. I fought to flee, to find a way. A tree stood tall, my only stay. I climbed its branches, reached the sky, while she stayed below with a piercing cry. She looked at me with burning eyes, her voice like shadows, full of lies. I'll get you yet, she vowed below. But on that tree, I would not go. Safe above, the wind in play, she couldn't reach, she couldn't sway. The curse she spoke fell to the ground, and in that moment, I was found. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And I'm very delighted to be here. You know, I used to read when we started, and my eyes were well. But unfortunately, a few years ago, while I was actually writing this book, at the end I just realized that I cannot see anymore. And that was it for me. I can see shadows, but now I cannot see. But I wanted to write this book, and I'm so delighted for my friends, Dr. Mario here, and my friend Philip, who helped me make it possible. So I thank you guys, and you know, I'm glad Dr. Mario just went through my poems. And I have the copy here, if anybody would like to read them. They are so beautiful. May God bless you.
Thank you.
I would love to introduce our next open mic, the Queen of Ceremonies, Hope Fernandez.
So this poem is still a work in progress, but it came out because someone came up to me with a little package and said that I needed to try this because it was called dried plums. And immediately I thought, don't eat too many of those. So I wrote this. The rebranding of fruits. Once wrinkled fruit, a dowager's treat, prunes sat solemn in a plastic suite. Medicine for clocks that ran too slow, their purpose plain, their glamour low. But enter the stage, the marketers glare. Dried plums, they whispered, with elegance rare. Not a prune, no, a morsel of charm, a hint of the orchard, the sun's warm arm. Behold the packaging, sleek and new, purple and gold with a premium hue. No longer for elders in rocking repose, but for yoga mat wielders and runners in pose. Taste the irony in the rapper's gleam, how names can shift like a clever dream. Prunes by another name, sweet as before, but sold as a plum, it's wanted no more. Forgotten are jokes that once drew disdain, prunes the punchline of digestive refrain. Now they're superfood, trending the club, their ancient name politely left out. Oh, how the label deceives the mind that once was shunned, we now all call refined. In the world of humans, truth's a disguise, a plum reborn can mesmerize. So ponder this plum, once cast aside, resurrected by spin, a phoenix of pride, and think how we, in the humdrum stroll, are fooled by the new in the old aged role. The second poem, also working on, I have a student that really doesn't sit still. He really can't control himself. He does the best he can. He's always getting yelled at by me or someone, but he's also the first to apologize and the first to give a hug. So, the wildflower boy. He is sugar stirred into tea too fast, swirling in currents he cannot see. A marionette with strings pulled by winds that even the sky doesn't understand. In his seat, he's a river, refusing its bank, legs jittering like leaves caught in a storm, fingers drumming rhythms that have no melody, only motion. Rules slip off him like water over stone, briefly resting before rushing away. Don't touch that becomes a whispered dare. Sit still, a tether that snaps the moment it's tied. His anger flares like struck flint, bright, sharp, and startling. It burns out just as quickly, leaving behind the warm embers of a hug. His arms tight as vines around your shoulder. He says sorry, with eyes wide as spring skies, a sincerity so unpracticed it aches. Each word a fragile petal falling from his lips, soft and trembling. He's a wildflower in whirlwind, a creature of restless roots, growing in all directions, breaking all the soil where you least expect. You want to bottle him to hold the sweet nectar of his kindness, but he is a boy made of motion, a sunbeam that refuses the shadow of stillness. And though his chaos tests my patience, you find yourself waiting for your next laugh, his crooked grin, the next time he throws himself at your side, apologizing as if he's the only one who's broken.
Wow.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce my fellow student, Anthony Pierre, a student at New Heights Charter.
So these poems were written like a while back when I was in middle school, so they're fairly old, honestly. I hate this body, honestly this form I never wanted. Being born in this color pink and dressed in bows and dresses, my body formed into what I despise when I looked into the mirror. I hate my hair being long, I hate my chest being one of the girls, I hate my body, this body of girls, I hate my legal name, I hate my own name. One that is known to so many, I hate how nobody listens to me when I say I want to be someone else. I hate that I'm told my birth name is forever stuck till I change it. I hate how my family never sticks to what I want. I hate this body. Now don't get me wrong, I hate my physical self, not my mental self. The real me is a burning fire, born of pure rage and strength from years of torment and being trapped. My own feelings locked behind a closet to never see the light of day. I grow duller than an old used knife. From those days I Peterson in war, I grew trails and a male, not a girl, and staring this body, let it be known. I hate this body and it should change, because I'm not a girl, ever a girl who loves pink and boys. I'm a guy who loves games and other guys. It may seem strange to most, but I don't mind. I got friends who are just as odd as me, and I love that for that. I'm a guy and have so many friends. I'm a new family who love me for me and make sure I'm safe. I'm a boy in a burning fire, a man who feels no energy than a whirlwind of it. But that is me, and accept that please, because even if I'm not the same or a smart friend, I'm the bravest for the loyalist of them. I'm a jester and my job is to entertain, but I'm also a man who make me question me. I am also sweet and loving. I desire and nobody can change me. We see me as a girl now, but that is not me. Oh, that is a forgotten past. I'm a new person, like how the earth changes over time. I have as well, and here I am now, a man who seems so rude to those I love, but I'm also a man who cares deep down, even though I scare them all. I have no fear, and I don't need that I'm me, and that's perfect, because I am. And nobody will ever take or change that. Nobody can change me. Nobody will take the pride I have for myself. Not family, no friends. I am me. I'm a man with many friends that evidence on my taste. A man who's hurt, who brushes it off and gets back up to fight again.
Thank you, Anthony. I don't think I could have been that honest and raw about me at your age. Thank you. And now our adult feature poet, Marlon Carey.
I've got a feeling everything gonna be alright. I've got a feeling everything gonna be alright. I've got a feeling everything gonna be alright. Be alright, be alright, be alright. Sometimes it's like my whole lifeline has been the punchline of a joke that I didn't get. And the whole world is laughing, pointing, waiting for me to fail. But though I might pale in comparison to my environment, I've got ink inside my veins. And I will blend in until my time comes. I will wait here until my time comes, stroking my brain's frontal lobe until the rhymes come. And I will wait here until revolution comes like comes to numb this pain. But my revolution will not begin. My chains remain. My chains remain like the concrete beneath the bloodstains. I've been trained to miss the freedom train, trained for what has been mine from the beginning. And I'm beginning to understand as I stand here in welfare lines, waiting for stale cheese and swine. I'm composing lines, trying to remind my brother who stays trapped behind vertical lines, crossing the imaginary line between legal and illegal. I'm trying to remind my people, hoping that as he reads my lines while getting his cornrows properly aligned or lining up for inspections that most Americans thought were behind blacks, he will find that, as a matter of fact, the revolution is here. And as I climb the splintered stair out this well, I'm thinking, hell must be a state of mind. The shortest distance between here and my destiny has always been a straight line, but I've been zigzagging all this time, run amok, bamboozled in a Rubik's Cubism, television, saturated vision, missing the greater part of my intellect, needing respect but never getting any. You see, I'm like that penny with the hole in it. But I put a string up in that hole and tie my soul in it and hold on to it. So here's a penny for your thoughts, but give me back my change. I'm trying to change all these straight lines into curved ones as I keep on re-evolving like the earth around the sun, and my suns will shine through all this darkness, even if I have to power my soul in the pursuit. Don't shoot! Don't shoot! I'm only got my wallet to show you my identity. There's no room to exist inside of a small black box, and I forgot before I left the house this morning I had my blackness cocked, and so I got shot, felt lead in my back, hot like the coals grew swiftly run across. But boss, I swear, we only threw 3 minutes of the fire. You idiot. The wives and our four in there, singing and shouting, throwing their hands in the air like they just don't care about death. But breath is not the only weapon I have to give, and so I bleed ink in the fields, lying like cornrows, testifying to the silent screens, leaving stains in bold headlines on front pages. This revolution will not be covered by Dateline. This is me on the front line saying, one time, I'll drop no dimes on your crime watch hotlines. I'm pedal to the metal, revving until I hit the red line, headed for the finish line, trying to finish my lines, and time is time, tries to redefine the crimes history has done to me, and suddenly it comes to me like drums overcoming, like drums overcoming me, like drums overcoming me, numbing me, beating me over the head. I am not dead. My lifeline is the bass line behind the drums of my heartbeat. My lifeline is the bass line behind the drums of my heartbeat.
Poetry is my passion. Prejudice is my pain. And my purpose is change. When I preach, I can't pretend, and so I push past the pretenses of poo-poo poetry and put forth poems for people to ponder and perceive. I'm no prophet, just a poet, putting it all into perspective with the my prose is playful yet potent. Please be patient whilst I perfect my poetic prowess by practicing with the peas. I like pea funk and pea fruit, like peaches, papayas, pears, plums, pineapples, pomegranate, and potatoes, which really aren't fruit. But please permit it as I proceed. I promise not to prolong this presentation, but this poem has possessed, and so I persist. My pen is poisoned by the paper, and with each stroke I plunge into the paragraphs of paraphernalia. And now I prefer the peas, and I'm digging pea poets like Ezra Pound and Edgar Poe and Sylvia Plath, opting for P words from foreign places like Paris, Parlez-vous, that have a pinata filled with the plethora of poems, and when it pops, poets pour in with pen and pawn to partake of what I have provided promptly. Phew. It perturbs me to see pretty pubescent preteens with pink pouty lips pushing perambulators while politicians push Porsches and live in palaces with big back porches. We must persevere in this pusillanimous society that preaches peace. It picks out the perfect poor little third world countries to pounce upon and pick apart. We seem predestined and predetermined for paraphrasing. Even our anecdotes are annotated and hyphenated, pushing possibilities only to the poorest parts of paradise. I'm perplexed. Poverty is a plantation where people pick plantains, and poverty is a plantation where plantains ripen purple in the sun. I pick cotton and plant my feet firmly into the planet, positioning myself for pixelation, practicing by balancing pi on the tip of my proboscis. Ain't you proud? Pen to pad, paddling across the patterns of popular perceptions. This life ain't no pragmatist playground. I be that purveyor of parables, pushing pieces on platforms for points. I'm punching in to pick up more pesos for purchasing pleasure. I'll take mine in portions and make payments in installments proportionate to my place, but I will not be placated to laying away my fate. I pray for a plate of possibilities and a pink slip out of this paragraph. I've been running in place now for too many parsecs. I'm picking my own path this time, performing at the pinnacle of my game and in the apex of my prime. I'll provoke this population like a pastor preaching at an atheist picnic. It's been predicted. My pain has been pre-scripted, so now I'm popping pills to plug the parts of me that are only partial. The police, they're perpetual pits, but instead of packing a pistol, I pack a page of my rage while the government propagates peculiar by pickpocketing my pension, telling me there are no more provisions when they are purchasing planes at preposterous prices without permission from the populace. Poppycock, polls of poison, presidents picked and politicians promoted without proper procedure, while pestilences proliferate and propaganda perpetuates. We pray for peace as we pick our paths among the prickles. Pause. So I've always loved words since I was a very young person. So I got better at writing. I got better at reading. And I think it's one of the most important skills you can give your kids. Read to your children. Read yourselves. Just read and gather information in that old-fashioned way, because the new information is tainted. There's a lot of misinformation around. So I'm watching the Cops Marathon. And suddenly it occurs to me, the answer to the riddle, the answer to the burning question inside my mind: why does Nike support slavery? Black male, Nike hat. Black male, Nike sweatsuit. Black male, Nike shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. If all I did was write intricately connected sentences to impress utterly defenseless slam audiences with recklessness, how senseless to express my exasperation using gimmicks such as this is because I have been blessed that when I rest my hand and press pen and paper and stress the mess that I'm living in, the rest just comes in like my breath coming into my hungry lungs. I have scars from dreams my forefathers hung from. Pardon me, I suffer from a condition called historical restlessness. This is not an official diagnosis, just the best guess. Quick test to see if I have your disinterest. Blah, blah, blah. Man, I'm the best. My life is stress. It's my sob story worth more or less. I confess I'm only doing this half in jest. The other half is tongue-in-cheek, or with a knife in flesh. It's going to hurt a bit or kill you more or less. But I'm only here to document distress. I inflect and project when injecting the rhetoric for this memory in the mechanism. But if I only concocted cocky quips and quirky quotes, the cold cocky cerebellum, would you still consider me lemonade? if the sun were a lemon. Born of harsh circumstances, I circumvented the learning curve to slap verbs and pimp nouns. You try to force feed me your language. Now I spit epithets to get the taste out of my mouth. Woken your fine line was like chewing glass. And I never quite knew what to do in class when they said, Mr. Carey, give us the black opinion. My life has never been racked and pinned. Never intellect break me out of bondage or power steer me out the hood when the traction wasn't good. The only reason we have more trunk space because our genes have a lot more to carry. They stress Mariah Carey. What's in Dion's carry-on? But overseas they carry on bloody campaigns while political families pick champagne toast. We just scored a few more votes on both coasts while our soldiers just gorge scores of poor folks on the Gulf Coast. And those blokes are supposed to be guarding the coast. Lo and behold, just let an entire boatload of coke float. Worry over lactose. We worry over lactose while backpacking rappers lack flows and crack peddlers pack toast. And with a trife life, it entices righteous sisters to be crack hoes just so they can stack dough and go back to the store to cop the pair of black Jordans they saw in the back row. And if you watch TV, you'll certainly see the Texas tea ain't the only type of black gold. Watch Cops Tonight or the nightly news this evening. You'll find black folks served up, shackled and beaten, wearing a swoosh like a slash in the tire of freedom. Boy, I tell you, it's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. Phil, you didn't give me a time. And I will say I wrote this piece after a relationship that I had with a young lady from New Hampshire. I'm married to a woman from New Hampshire at the moment, but this was as a younger person, and it was my first time really having a deep relationship with someone white, specifically. It was a big deal. When it didn't work out, I wrote this thesis. Every element is relevant and significant, like a herd of African elephants marching slowly through the tenements, or similar to seeds submerged in sediments, I eventually emerged to serve as evidence of phantom menace like my lame-ass ex-girlfriend who insulted my intelligence, but she was merely a victim of her parents' inherited prejudice. And furthermore, she was a little bit jealous of this. My apparent penchant for dispensing sentences, relentless, effortlessness, but nevertheless, now I'm independent and reluctant to discuss those tragic events. I used to stay bent to prevent myself from relenting these sentiments, but now my regimen includes a true testament of my existence, engineered with elegance and executed with eloquence. I'm on a quest for excellence, and rather than follow trends, I'd rather set precedents, like maybe the first Jamaican born American elected president. But every element is relevant, and now I'm constantly counting on constants, trying to crack the constraints of cold cement. This is more than just a lyrical experiment. This is mental medicine I'm dispensing. Inside your minds, I'm fencing with ignorance, hoping I get a chance to displace it and replace it with statements like, every element is relevant. You can't erase if you don't face your latent racism. So now I'm searching for those subtle similarities between myself and the Chinamen in Tiananmen, or low-class lesbian ladies living in Lebanon, and I'm finding them wedged between the cracks embedded in the lies they tell me about my melanin. The hell with them. Racism, war, and corrupted governments. All that I can recommend is to keep peace prevalent and climb the mountain tops and keep on telling them that every element is relevant. So while you're strolling through the tenements, pondering those sacred elephants, remember this. I hate to sound repetitive, but every bit of our existence is compounded by essential percentages of positive and negative, so that live, blood, bones, and brain matter. We are all relatives and all relevant and all heaven-sent and all majestic instances of intensity. We are all meant to be mingling here amid indented ease, subject suggestively strapped to our predicates. We are all delicate and all dedicated to the liberation of all consonants. So keep this thought prominent, memorizes every consonant, no matter what persuasion you may happen to represent, black, white, Latino, Asian, affluent, or indigent. Every element is relevant. All right, come on. I'll be out of your face. Magic, there it is. So, I have this Rubik's Cube here. Anthony, do me a favor. I hate to bother you. Would you mind just scrambling this up? Give it up, give it up. All you gotta do is mess that up. No, hey, mess it up. Make sure it's completely messed up and randomized so I can keep myself honest here. And I'll tell a little story while you do that. Don't worry about it. So, everybody say, nothing is impossible.
Nothing is
You guys don't believe it. Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Thank you, thank you. So, I have wanted to learn, and so I'm going to solve a Rubik's Cube, hopefully, while telling the poem. I think you may have solved this before, which is good. And so, came home and practiced a whole lot, and found it to be the thing I was doing. It might be ADHD for all I know. I'm always fiddling, but this time I was practicing a poem called Time, getting ready for a poetry slam, and I was walking around the living room, just kind of doing this. Are you solving a Rubik's Cube and doing a poem? And I was like, yeah. It just feels natural, right? But I found myself all across this country on a stage in front of hundreds of people with the lights on me and this cube and this poem. I did TED with this thing, and it's amazing to be a person who can do that, but I don't think it's something that not everybody can do. Nothing is impossible. You can learn this, you can write a poem. You can put a poem and the cube together, you can do something else. Poetry can evolve into being a gigantic, crazy spectacle. So keep pushing, keep writing, and this is Time. It seems like I'm always wasting time, buying time, spending time and trying to borrow some time, but these days, time is money. I heard somebody say that money is time. Now, money doesn't grow on trees, but it is the root of all evil. My mother always said, people who have a lot of money seem to have all the time in the world, don't they? But money isn't everything. Time is of the essence. And essentially, in order to get more time, I gotta have lots of money. But in order to get more money, I gotta spend time. So time is the most valuable currency. I would like to share time, but I haven't any spare time, not even time enough to make change or change the world or change my mind. Time is running out. There's never enough time. Getting a college degree takes too much time and costs too much money, so kids do crimes and end up locked up serving time for stealing money. Doing hard time, causing society the same amount of money it would cost to give them a degree, but outside the prison gates. Hunger eats away at the walls of a child's stomach. Daddy worked overtime this week, but the company accountant took some well-deserved time off to get some tea time and time with the kids. You'll get your check in due time. Meanwhile, I'm standing in the lunch line trying to find a moment to write a rhyme, and I find I have no time for writing lines. I'm sneaking off to the men's room to steal a few minutes of my boss's time, realizing I'll probably never have enough time because when I sounded out of line, I signed away all my free. So now my time is just before 9 and after 5, and some nights I was there way past 9, so I never had time to spend with my friends, and though I was chasing the Benjamins, somehow I never had any ends to spend when we finally did carve out a few minutes from our busy days, and then we would simply coalesce around a common thread and coexist inside the haze, wilding with the minutes, discussing the disgusting parts of our dismal existences, punching in, punching out, serving time. Prisoners, trapped inside the hourglass, choking on the sandstorm of possibilities, wishing we could all go back in time and remind ourselves to take the time to appreciate the gift of time. And right now, after all the timeouts, the time on stage, studio time, the time and time again, bad timing, the absent-minded time spent wondering, will I get my big break this time? Or should I just throw in the towel and resign and get back on my grind, chalking all up to wasted time and try to make up for lost time just yesterday, y'all. I looked up in the sky and I saw a sign. It was a blimp proclaiming the world is mine. And I thought, well, it's about time. I want to thank you guys. I've had a lovely time with you, and that's the extent of my time. Thank you very, very much, you guys.
I love these events. And thank you everyone for our fourth, what month is this, December? Everyone has voice reading, and I look forward to seeing everyone in